Welcome to part 2 of what I started yesterday that then was interrupted and then I couldn't finish it. It's one of those things. So yes, welcome to part 2, in which I describe my vision for the branding and the Super Survivor side and what's going to happen going forward and what I've done, of course. So it's kind of nice that it was a two-parter, because this morning I spent some time finalizing the YouTube channel art for the Super Survivor channel and made the logo to be kind of, you know, cohesive, related to my main channel, so that it's more or less obvious that this is a spin-off and under the same brand. So like I was explaining yesterday about the fact that every video that I've edited now, which is 8 in total, I think 8 or 9 in total, they all start with the red WP Guru logo, and then they go into this year's oncology symposium intro, and then the presentation starts. So it's all very, they all have a cohesive handwriting and a cohesive branding across all the channels. So that's very cool. I'd like to implement that in all my other channels, and perhaps starting with this video, so that everything that I do starts with the WP Guru logo, the red one, and then just goes into the content. And that's kind of nice. I really like that. So then the channel branding is something that is a very large picture. It's kind of a 2K picture. You get a template from YouTube that you can download, and it's a Photoshop file, PSD file, and it has markings on what looks good where. So the middle bit of the crop in the middle, that is what's displayed on desktop, and then some cropped versions of that will appear on a mobile phone and on a tablet, and then the full version, the full image, is displayed on a TV. That's kind of nice, really nice. So every possible set-top box has that branding on it, but it means the background has to really be a croppable background, and anything that is text elements or anything that you want the viewer to see on all devices needs to be condensed into the middle area. That's kind of fairly easy to do. So I amended the title sequence that I did there with Premiere into a 2K still image, and just reformatted the text. So just like what the moving template was, I just turned that into a still template and just modified the text elements there. It looks all right. It doesn't look amazing or anything, but it looks okay, and it'll do for now. So that's the point there. Then on top of the channel artwork, we also need a channel icon, and that's usually the one that is displayed where you're logged in. So when you make a comment, or the thing that's at the top right of YouTube, that's this little round icon. So they crop it round. You can upload it in a square version, but be mindful that they do crop in. So I had to I experimented with that a little bit, and I was thinking, well, I like the WP logo, perhaps I'll just use that, but turn it into a different color. So I thought my first attempt was to blur the background of these wavy lines. But then, of course, what happened was that YouTube it overimposes that logo on the top left of the channel art. So that's nice. So my logo doesn't have to appear inside the channel art. If I use my logo as a channel icon, YouTube will do that automatically. It's kind of a you know, something to keep in mind. And it worked okay, but the wavy lines were kind of, you know, it just didn't quite line up, and I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't satisfied. So I simply cropped the WP Guru logo on the red background. So we have a white one for the main channel and a red one for the Super Survivor channel now. Perfect. That kind of, you know, keeps in line with all the other branding, and you know, that was it. Then the other thing that I did this morning was to top and tail the rest of the presentations from this year, and I had already done Dr. Kuznier's presentations, and yes, so that was, you know, that was nice. That was good. Topping and tailing in television means that you're more concerned about the beginning and the end, and you kind of trust that the middle is there. So it's usually done with live events where you have something that is that you've recorded with a bit of a margin at the top top and the bottom, or the front and the back, or the beginning and the end, and you just want to trim that up so that it has a nice beginning and a nice end. That's topping and tailing. So I did that, but in so doing, of course, I listened to some of the presentations. I already heard them when they were live, but it's nice to re-listen to them. My God, some inspirational, very, very cool stuff there. And I do remember one of the doctors, Raul Ladino. He's a psychiatrist at Mount Sinai, and he deals with the therapeutic element of what cancer patients go through, like depression, anxiety, and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't know him at the time when I had treatment at Mount Sinai, but I got to know him through the presentation. He gave a presentation, I gave a presentation, and it was nice because I remember back then asking him, hey, can we do an interview? That was in April this year, and he said, yes, let's do it. And one of the things that I remember him saying in that presentation, it was just so powerful. I think this is how he closed his presentation. Very well done, lots of interesting slides. He said that one of the things that cancer patients often are concerned with is there's no hope. And I thought that's such a powerful thing to say. He said there's always hope, and it doesn't matter if the patient has just been diagnosed, doesn't know what's coming, or if he has hours to live. There's always hope. And that sounds really weird when you hear this the first time, but he explains it that if you only have hours to live, then you can hope that you will die without pain, and that you will die in the presence of your loved ones. And I thought that was, wow, that's very, very cool. And I thought, my goodness, that fits right into the whole interview projects of being a creative mind, because sometimes you have to think creatively like that to get yourself out of this thinking that everything is over already. It isn't. It really is glass is half full, half empty type of approach. It really is up to us how we think about such situations, and I thought that's very powerful. And I need to speak to him, and he's in the neighborhood, so that's absolutely perfect. He bought my book, by the way, so he knows me. I'm sure he remembers me. It's a perfect opportunity to get back in touch with him once the presentation is online and once the channel is there. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing this morning since 7 o'clock. So it's good to get that over and done with. And my computer is now rendering the presentations. Some of them, most of them, like about half of them had been rendered yesterday. The other half are being rendered as I cycle, which is nice, including my own presentation, which was also very, very cool. So I listened to that in its entirety. I hadn't actually listened to that since I gave it, and my goodness, what a story. Very exciting story. And I had this idea, so I have 2 more talks to give, which is inspiring, very inspiring. But when I did this talk, that was kind of the first time I really did a talk. I mean, I talked about it in small groups previously, but I never gave a presentation about my case as such. So that was very interesting for me to do that, and also now for me to see this with like 9 months afterwards, and remembering what kind of a tough case this whole thing was for me, which is the reason why I wrote my book, of course. But in March, a medical student, Yarelis is her name, she's invited me to her university in Fort Lauderdale to give a presentation about my case. So there's medical students there who are training to be, I believe, pharmacists, like medical pharmacists, not people who dispense, acetaminophen in CVS. It's more like the people who dispense proper medications in the hospital, that type of pharmacy. And and she asked me, could I give a talk at that event, and I said yes. And we've recently spoken, and so yeah, that's going to go ahead in March, I believe it was. So I don't have a PowerPoint presentation currently, or any kind of slide presentation. So I was thinking I need to put that in place, I need to make that happen. And for that I had some very inspiring ideas of how to tell the whole case from first symptoms, where that was, and literally visualize everything. Visualize where I can pinpoint the first symptom that I had to, and visualize the people that were dealing with my case. I put pictures of them up and literally tell the story of locations, of the timeline, and of the people. It'll be a great talk. It'll be absolutely amazing. And I was thinking about that last night when I was going to sleep. What an amazing presentation that's going to be. So yes, that is also in the pipeline. And that of course is all connected with making that Super Survivor channel, hopefully at one point redesigning the website to give it that same branding and make it load faster and get rid of Divi, get rid of that elegant themes thing. And also another thing, turn these presentations into an audio podcast feed that's then available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and like all the other directories. So yes, that is all happening, that's all in my mind, and I've laid the foundations of that this morning. Quick tech news here, by the way, if you've watched yesterday's video, then today's video is filmed with the old GoPro again, because that just works so much better on the bike. The new GoPro, I've found a door now, I think it's in production, they're not quite ready with it yet, from a company that make a door with a little cut out there, so I can use that for my interviews with the GoPro 8, with the motion stabilization on the selfie stick. It's going to be all good. But yeah, that's not quite here. It's going to take another 4 weeks or so for them to create it. So yes, I've found one of those. And the settings were wrong yesterday. I had this kind of super wide angle thing going. I think they call it super view. It's that was just, that was a bit much when I looked at the footage this morning. Cold is still with me, but it's okay. It's kind of, I can keep it at bay with a few pills. I only have one more day, i.e. now, this shift to work, and then I have a lot of time off up until next Sunday. And I've scheduled another interview with somebody who's very dear to me hopefully for Friday. So yes, we need to get cracking and make that title sequence happen, so that I have an intro for the Creative Minds thing, and that we can roll that one off as well. What a creative start into the new year that is. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. I've had another thought about channel branding, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if every of my channels would have the WP Guru logo and just have a different background color? Oh, that's an interesting thought. I might actually do that. So if I were to start with the Super Survivor channel, that would be red. Other colors I can imagine in this kind of color scheme would be blue and purple maybe, and green. My goodness, that's quite a lot, isn't it? So yeah, something along those lines. It just came to me earlier, this idea, and I think I might just implement that. I might not go over the top and have a different background title sequence like bumper for every video, even though, come to think of it, that would be really swishy. So then anything that starts with a particular color could be for a particular channel. That would be cool. Or it might be too much work. Food for thought. Just thought I'd put it out there.